Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for tuning in to my super chat. Thank you so very much. This is a really, really important, and it's going to be an interesting segment. We'll start off with the Washington Post article written on March 20th, 2020. All right? This is a Washington Post article written on March 20th, 2020 by four wonderful journalists. U.S. intelligence reports from January and February warned about a likely pandemic. Okay, this is a statement that's being taken now as fact. This would be the basis for a lie. This would be how they evaluate President Trump in terms of a lie, an intentional deception through either omission or some other form of deception. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, you are about to witness, I'm going to read you exactly now the exact reasons why this article contains a lie that is being repeated. Similar to the fact, this isn't, okay, the biggest lie, if they say that Trump lies, well, the media lied and intelligence community officials lied because the ODNI and DHS reports claimed with high to moderate confidence that the DNC was hacked, insinuating that there was concrete evidence. However, when the CrowdStrike CEO and when James Clapper and when Susan Rice and when Samantha Power and when Attorney General Loretta Lynch and when James Comey and when everyone was asked directly and when Adam Schiff and when Dianne Feinstein were asked directly, nobody had concrete evidence. Yet, everyone stated that there was reason to be suspicious because we just don't know and there could be concrete evidence just around the corner. The whole thing was a lie. They were deceiving people based on information they did not have, or information based on the notion that they had information when they really did not. They did not have any basis to investigate Trump. They created an elaborate story, which was a hoax. He never worked with Russia to hack the DNC to inform the country that Bernie Sanders was cheated. This is a lie. Then they say that Trump lied 5 million times. By the way, to my super chat, thank you so very much. Greatly appreciated, especially during this time period. If you want to support my voice in this live stream, subscribe to H.A. Goodman's other channel. I'm going to have a great segment up on H.A. Goodman's other channel, and subscribe to Bizarro World Goodman. I'm taking my time with that, but you know what? You know what you're going to get when my cousin comes back to his channel. You'll love it. But here, I want to read you. U.S. intelligence agencies, and by the way, Luke St. Martin, Eric H526, the hardest working men in all of YouTube. Thank you so very much. Great, the best moderators in all of YouTube. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Washington Post. U.S. intelligence agencies were issuing ominous classified warnings in January and February about the global dangers posed by the crisis, while President Trump and lawmakers played down the threat and failed to take action that might have slowed the spread of the pathogen. How do we know? According to U.S. officials familiar with spy agency reporting. This is the basis. Just like the Steele dossier and just like the ODNI report, such judgments might be wrong. We deem with high to moderate confidence that this all happened. We are not certain. And then journalists are writing and have been writing as if it is a certainty that Russia hacked the DNC. But when asked, CrowdStrike says we don't have concrete evidence. James Clapper says we don't have evidence. Nobody has seen evidence that Russia even wanted Trump, much less that the DNC was hacked. And CrowdStrike, the only firm to see DNC servers, stated literally, the CEO said we don't have concrete evidence. These were the transcripts that were released, showing that the whole thing was a bluff. This is the basis of the lies. If you want to judge them, by the way, well, first of all, with Trump, they're all over the place. They focus on semantics and embellishment. This is the whole Trump-Russia nonsense was an actual grandiose lie. They made everyone believe it was a certainty something happened, while at the same time saying it wasn't a certainty. They took a high to moderate confidence assessment and then made a categorical claim every single day for the last 3.5 years, that it did happen. Okay? Now, this is according to U.S. officials familiar with spy agency reporting. This is not an email. This is not a document. This is not something that you could verify. This is how Trump has been reported on since the moment he became president. This is very important, ladies and gentlemen. Before we get to the WHO letter, I'm going to do a segment on this on H.A. Goodman's other channel. Wally Pop, thank you. Thank you, Wally Pop. Thank you for the kind words. You know the thing? Ladies and gentlemen, check out my upload earlier today, regarding the DNC communications director saying we are not officially nominating Joe Biden. But everybody, U.S. intelligence agencies were issuing ominous classified warnings in January and February about the global danger posed. Sandiford! They always seem indignant when you request evidence. It's like they don't think we have the right to doubt them. Exactly, Sandiford. Exactly. But this is very important, Sandiford. You said exactly what I've been trying to say in a more eloquent manner. They almost expect that their definition, which is redefined, their redefined meaning of evidence, they demand you accept it. So this is the initial article. Sandiford, thank you. Thank you again, as always. This is the initial article, everyone. U.S. intelligence reports from January and February warned about a likely pandemic. Okay, when you hear people, because I've heard this, unfortunately, I've had to debate some old friends who are perhaps no longer friendly at the moment, okay? And they then go ahead and bring up, well, he knew in January. Number one, there's a tweet from the governor of New York, okay? The governor of New York. The risk remains low. The governor of New York. No reason for undue anxiety. In March 1st, this is long after President Trump imposed the travel restrictions in January and a task force in January. Furthermore, the notion that Democrats and media would listen to Trump anyway, if he told them to get off the railroad tracks as an incoming train was about to flatten them, they wouldn't do it. They'd be like, no, we're staying. And then they'd be like, They don't listen to Trump at all. They would never listen to Trump. They don't care about anything he says, and everything he says is a visceral, instant reaction to say the opposite. So they claim that, well, he should have known. He doesn't even have the authority to tell governors what to do. If he told Cuomo, Whitner, Inslee, Pritzker, all these governors, if he told them in January, hey, you should stock up on masks and ventilators, they would say, no, we don't. Well, for what? They wouldn't listen to Trump. But here, on March 1st, there is no reason for undue anxiety. The general risk remains low in New York. This is the governor of New York. The governor of New York. The governor of New York said this. So that's Trump's fault? And then we're supposed to believe that the wonderful intelligence community, the amazing intelligence community, wouldn't leak the information. So they leaked the Steele dossier to liberal journalists, but they wouldn't leak this information, a pandemic. So the U.S. intelligence community leaks the Steele dossier to preferred journalists, but they don't leak it. They don't go ahead and They just absolutely don't leak it to to Adam Schiff, the House Intelligence Community Chairman. I want to read this to you again, and then I'll read you a New York Times article. The U.S. intelligence report from January and February warned about a likely pandemic. This is March 20th, 2020. It is the basis for the overt lie that Trump definitely knew. It is only conjecture that he knew. It is possible that he knew. But saying that it is saying something is a fact when it's only possible is a lie. We have no clue. If U.S. officials familiar with the spy agency reporting said Trump never, ever, ever worked with Russia and it was a complete hoax from the beginning, do you think the Washington Post would publish it? No. You think that if they found U.S. officials familiar with the spy agency reporting that said that President Trump was the best president of all time, you think they would report that? No. NPC, hello. I want to read you again. U.S. intelligence agencies were issuing ominous classified warnings. If they're classified, then how on earth would a journalist even know? But here, in January and February, about the global dangers posed by the crisis, while President Trump and lawmakers played down the threat and failed to take action that might have slowed the spread of the pathogen. According to U.S. officials familiar with spy agency reporting. Not according to emails released. Not according to documents you can see. Not according to a piece of paper that literally states, hey, Trump, this will happen on this date, and you better make sure you do something about it. We have no clue if U.S. officials, according to U.S. officials familiar with the spy agency reporting, is a credible or even real source. We have no clue if they just made this up. You know who was a U.S. official familiar with spy agency reporting? James Clapper. Okay. John Brennan. They could have been the sources for this. And you ever wonder why? That you never hear the exact sources. And it's not just good journalism. It's because everything reported about Trump is always according to people familiar with the matter. Then there's a new obsession. So then they write the intelligence reports didn't predict when it might land on U.S. shores or recommend particular steps that public health officials should take. So it's like, okay, so it even says, even in the article that blames Trump, it even says the intelligence reports didn't predict when the virus might land on U.S. shores or recommend particular steps that public health officials should take. So tell me again how he categorically knew, and because he knew, lives were lost. Wait a second, he's not the governor of New York, New Jersey, or Michigan. Almost half. It's like 48 to 49. It always fluctuates between 48 to 51%. Half of the lives lost are in New York, New Jersey, and Michigan. And ladies and gentlemen, in 1957, we had over 116,000 lives lost. Or we had around 116,000 lives lost from the flu. You can look it up. In 1967, we had 100,000 lives lost from the flu. We didn't shut down the entire United States society and economy. And if you don't think, ask yourself why they would keep the Democratic primaries open in Illinois, Arizona, Florida, and Wisconsin, while at the same time saying that you had to, you couldn't work. And then you have this absurd, ludicrous, this is one of the reasons the left will lose always, and Democrats will lose miserably in November. And it'll be with Clinton. I will have made the biggest political call of all time. It's 15 minutes in. I waited 15 minutes in. Hillary Clinton's going to be nominee. She's the only chance they have. But because they've doubled down on all of this, like I gave her a 30% chance at one point I was looking, I'm saying, you know what, Clinton could take this, although I still believed always that President Trump's going to be a two-term president. I said that I always viewed President Trump winning. But a couple weeks back, I was thinking, you know what? They could pull this off. But doubling down and tripling down on this, the independent voter and the average American, Gallup has Trump at 49%, a higher approval rating than Congress. Gary, good morning. These Bizarre, hello. A higher approval rating than Congress. Trump is not suffering from any of this. And the media is becoming more rabid. You've never seen a more rabid media. You've never seen a more maniacal, rabid, frothing at the mouth, malicious media full of vitriol. The vitriol alone it's pretty unbelievable, ladies and gentlemen. The contempt, if you stew in contempt for somebody, if you stew in a cauldron of contempt and vitriol, and you become consumed with your own rage, that does not motivate anyone, especially Democrats are not motivated by that type of negative emotion. Conservatives used to be motivated by more negative emotions pertaining to maybe fear or, back in the day pertaining to voting. Not so much anymore. But Democrats generally are motivated by lofty principles, lofty ideals. They don't have any of that nowadays. Democrats are motivated, just like Republicans, but the Democratic Party message has always been, a passionate view of the future where, the person on the bottom can be brought up and we can lift you up with this idealistic message, this passionate message. President Obama had that message. Bernie Sanders had that message. Whether they truly believed or were able to implement the message is a completely different story. Ask the people of Libya and ask the Democrats in the House if they're ever going to pass a Medicare for All bill or not. But they don't have that message. They have Trump bad, Trump bad, Trump bad, Trump bad. You cannot win with Trump bad. Now if you go to the New York Times, and five takeaways on what Trump knew as the virus spread. Okay. An examination by the New York Times reveals that there were warnings. I don't care about an examination from the New York Times. That is completely irrelevant to me and the average American. An examination from the New York Times is worth as much as an examination from the Wall Street Journal, which is a great paper. I like the Wall Street Journal a lot more than the New York Times. If Adam Schiff has a big problem with the Wall Street Journal, I'm just fine with it. An examination by the New York Times reveals that there were warnings from the intelligence community, national security aides, and government health officials. Okay. How do we know this? Top White House advisors and as well as experts deep in cabinet departments and intelligence agencies all sounded the alarms and urged aggressive action. How do we know? But President Trump remained slow to respond. How do we know? A detailed examination of the government's response found. What? A detailed examination? That's the best you have? The DNC emails were not a detailed examination of how Bernie was cheated. It wasn't officials familiar with the DNC apparatus. It was you see how can we harm Bernie Sanders in these states? You see them actively promoting actively condemning Bernie Sanders and actively trying to promote Hillary Clinton. That's why Debbie Wasserman Schultz was forced to resign in disgrace. That's why when the convention happens, they ain't going to nominate Joe Biden. They're going to nominate Hillary Clinton. Like I said, I am the only person out of 33 million YouTube channels that called this. The only chance Democrats have, this chaos, this mayhem, this vitriol, this discontent, it serves one candidate. It does not serve Biden. And to see Democrats and media, I don't have Twitter, I don't have Facebook, but I can see what's going on. And you see them circling the wagons around Biden, which is hilarious. Then they're trying to say now that President Trump can't speak. Because Biden said, literally, he wants the cure to be worse than the problem. We have to make the cure worse than the problem. We have to take care of the cure to make it worse than the problem. It's almost verbatim. Martin Ellen, hello, thank you. Hello, Martin. But then it goes, a detailed examination of the government's response found. That's not evidence for anything. Mr. Trump's views were colored by long-running disputes inside administration. Okay, then, again, this is the basis. Interviews with dozens of current and former officials and a review of emails and other documents reveal key turning points. Where are the emails? Where are the emails? From what I can see, there are no emails. We don't see any emails. You know, we have quotes here that you can't attribute to anyone. There are no emails. Okay, so you have a New York Times article that says that there's an examination by the New York Times, so that's the evidence. And you have let's see, interviews with dozens of current and former officials. What is that? How is that the basis for anything? You know the New York Times is in the tank for Democrats because you know from the campaign emails that there are friendly journalists. Why aren't there friendly journalists for Madam Secretary at Fox News or the Wall Street Journal? How does it work? How does it work that? All right, Karen, let me see if I can do an impression. I think the New York Times is so biased against the Democratic Party. And if you just read these articles, it wasn't that Trump knew. The reality is that he designed it and created it, and it came out of his orange rear end. That's the real problem. But again, bias from the New York Times. More bias. Can you believe there are people on Twitter who think the New York Times is biased against Democrats? It's pretty unbelievable. It is pretty unbelievable. It's pretty unbelievable. So we're going to get now to the actual 24 minutes in. We'll get to the actual letter. The actual letter is one of the reasons that I'm voting for President Trump, in addition to what he said about America's longest-running military campaign. Ladies and gentlemen, I like the Wall Street Journal a lot, but the Wall Street Journal is like, oh, well, don't be too rash. Don't be too quick to bring Americans home. And he's like, no, why are we even there? Longest running military campaign. Why are we even there? That's why I want President Trump. He just signed a peace deal to bring Americans home. So this is the White House. Dear Mr. Tedros, His Excellency, Dr. Tedros. Okay, so dear Mr. Tedros, on April 14, 2020, I suspended United Nations contributions to WHO, pending an investigation by my administration of the organization's failed response to the month, and identified others that the WHO should have addressed, especially the WHO's alarming lack of independence from China. Based on this evidence, we know the following: the WHO consistently ignored credible reports that it was spreading. I'm kind of paraphrasing, but in early December 2019, or even earlier, by no later than December 30th, 2019, the WHO office in Beijing knew there was a major public health concern. Between December 26th and December 30th, that country's media highlighted evidence of a new pathogen emerging from, based on patient data. By the next day, Taiwanese authorities had communicated information to the WHO, yet the WHO chose not to share any of this critical information with the rest of the world, probably for political reasons. So the whole thing is giving a timeline of events where the WHO very likely acted because of political considerations, acted as perhaps a public relations tool of a certain country that perhaps shares more of a burden for all of this than other countries. Perhaps worse than all these failings is that we know the WHO could have done so much better. Just a few years ago, under the direction of a different director general, the WHO showed the world how much it has to offer. In 2003, in response to the severe acute, Director General Harlem Brundtland boldly declared WHO's first emergency travel advisory in 55 years. And then Trump declares a travel restriction, and then Democrats were up in arms in January. Now you don't see Democrats taking flights anywhere in the world. So it's just unbelievable. First of all, anything Trump said would have been completely ignored. Anything Trump said would have been completely ignored by media. Or, the opposite. They would have done the opposite. This is the best part. This is awesome. My administration has already started discussions with you on how to reform the organization. Nobody would call them out. Nobody. President Obama, Bush, none of them would have called out the WHO. None of them. So, you have no evidence that Trump knew other than anonymous officials. So you have no evidence that intel agencies told Trump anything. Aside from anonymous officials, that's not evidence. That is certainly not evidence. Certainly not evidence. Certainly not evidence. Then you have Trump calling out the WHO. Nobody would have done that. Then you have Trump reversing U.S. foreign policy. Nobody would have done that. So yeah, I'm voting for President Trump. Then you have Trump going up against corrupt intelligence officials. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a really, really important Agent Pepsi 1. Barr refuses to investigate either. The issue, if you read the quote, he said, "I don't expect the investigation to go after either men." But see, the thing is, what can Agent Pepsi 1 thank you? What can he say? Oh, we're going to investigate Biden? Their whole lives are predicated upon not being investigated during an election. So, and in terms of, listen, unless you find a document from President Obama saying, "Dear James Clapper, we want you to set up Trump. Sincerely, the president," it ain't gonna, no investigation of a previous president would fly. The issue that has to happen is they have to prove that Trump didn't need to be investigated and that the investigation from Clapper, Brand, and Comey was politically motivated, which is easy to prove. I'll make a temporary freeze of WHO funding in the world. Permanent and reconsider our membership in the organization. I cannot allow American taxpayer dollars to continue to finance an organization in the present state is so clearly not serving American interests. This is true. So, if you have a global non-governmental organization that hides information to benefit a certain country, why on earth and that information could have helped you. Why on earth would you then not say, hey, President Trump's doing a good thing? Look, you have to understand a couple of things. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the reality of what's going on, okay? It does not matter. It does not matter. I'm going to repeat this a million times over. It does not matter what President Trump says or does. It does not matter what he says or what he does. He is going to be wrong. Anything he does, anything he says, he will either be wrong immediately on the wrong side of history, or if you can't pin it on Trump, you'll have anonymous officials tell the Washington Post that Trump knew and he could have done something about it. And how do we know? Because anonymous officials have said that he knew. Then you'll have an examination from the New York Times that also lists anonymous officials and documents you can't see. It would be the equivalent of you getting fired at work because people at work have been saying you're doing something and you're getting fired because people at work have told your boss that you need to go. And when you ask for evidence, they give you a piece of paper saying, according to people who know you, according to people who know the matter, and according to emails that you can't see. This is public relations, and these are this is the definition of lying. The definition of lying is to deceive, intentionally deceive. They are intentionally deceiving people when they say that Trump worked with Russia. They are intentionally deceiving people when they make the categorical claim Russia hacked the DNC. They don't have concrete evidence that Russia hacked the DNC. They also don't. It literally, James Clapper literally stated he does not have evidence. The United States government never looked at DNC servers. CrowdStrike did. When CrowdStrike is asked, they said they don't have evidence. This is a lie. As a journalist, to categorically state that not according to CrowdStrike, no, Russia hacked the DNC in order to help Trump. That statement has been regurgitated 1 million times the past 4 years by journalists who believe it to be a categorical truth in life. And so if you look, ladies and gentlemen, if you look at what's going on, you look at the headlines right now. And by the way, share my Times of Israel article, ladies and gentlemen. Hillary Clinton, not Biden, will be nominee. Share that on Facebook and Twitter everywhere. And share my Huffington Post article written in 2017. Hillary Clinton, 2020 is a reality. Get ready for 8 years of Trump. But there is no, this is why November 2020 is going to be the most gratifying time in American history when President Trump wins again. They are not going to be able to justify a second loss, especially with Clinton, because they're going to lose again with Madam Secretary. Now, rest assured, she's not going to care. The 30 to 40 million I'm with her people, Hillary Clinton has 30 to 40 million I'm with her people. I would say 20 to 30 million that will vote for her every year, 2024, 2028, 2032, 2036, 2040, 2044, 2048, 2052. She has 30 to 50 million, about 30 million people that will always vote, no matter what. No matter what. No matter what. And that's just going to happen. That's just going to happen. But those people will not be embarrassed. They won't care. They'll say, well, you know what? It's America's fault. Thank you, Eric H526. Thank you very, very much. Eric H526, greatly appreciated. Everybody, Eric H526 uploaded a video reading one of my articles, greatly appreciated. Eric H526, greatly appreciated. Thank you. Everyone, you know what? Click on Eric H526's channel. Thank you so very, very, very much, Eric. Thank you. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you. So, it's not going to matter to Democrats. If you type in Trump on Google, and then they say, well, Trump is morbidly. Then Nancy Pelosi says Trump is morbidly obese. Skeletor doesn't look like the picture of health. So, I don't know what. It's interesting. He's very likely wearing, and God bless him, a bulletproof jacket all the time. But I said, what do they want Trump to be? Like, he's in his 70s. He's 6'3". What do they want him to be? And look, everything. Then the White House doctor advised President Trump, Hunty! This reminds me of everything happening in the country. Of all tyrannies, a tyranny sincerely exercised for the good of its victims may be the most oppressive. C.S. Lewis. Yes. Wow. Great quote. Great quote, Hunty. Thank you. Whenever you hear, this is for your safety, this is for your benefit, from people who generally don't really care about your safety or benefit, I'd stop and think. Hunty, thank you so very much. Great point. Great quote. Thank you, Hunty. Great quote. Great quote. Notice, interesting, ladies and gentlemen, Hunty, thank you again. Notice that they never asked Fauci or anyone else regarding whether or not they could continue with their primaries. I noticed that. Why is that? Why is it that they fail to ask whether or not they should postpone the primaries? Hunty, thank you. Thank you again. Why is it that, and the thing is, look, they have the media. This is why a second loss. They have the media every single day. They have been pumping the most negative news stories predicated upon lies. It was a lie that Trump needed to be investigated. You do not investigate an incoming president based on a dossier purchased by a political rival. That is a lie. That is not the basis. If Bush purchased a dossier on President Obama, they would never allow, or Hillary Clinton, they would never allow an investigation. It is a lie to say that because intelligence community officials were concerned that we needed to investigate. Their concern is not based on any fact. Just read the ODNI reports. They're highly confident that something happened. It is a lie that national security, that the DNC being hacked, if it was hacked, is national security. It's a private entity. The DNC is a private entity. David! H.A. Goodman's too wise for one so young. Thank you, David Von Kettering. Thank you. Very kind of you. Thank you, David. Thank you. Greatly, greatly, greatly appreciated. Greatly appreciated, David. Thank you for the kind words. I hope all is well, and thank you as always for watching. Thank you as always for watching. Hunty, thank you again. David, thank you as always for watching. And it's going to be amazing. Now they have Nancy Pelosi concerned about Trump being morbidly obese. Oh my God. And then on Twitter, they're like, oh my God, she said morbidly obese. Twitter also will be one of the reasons they lose. One of the reasons they lose miserably in November will be Twitter. Because it does nothing to, it only amplifies. If you, in life, if every mistake you made was amplified, or if you got money, let's say you got money, let's say you got $10 for every little mistake you made, you would have a horrible life. Because every time you would think about, everything you would do in life, even though you knew you probably shouldn't do something just because it's just not very wise. Like if you got a $10 bill for, always wear your seatbelt, but God forbid, you got a $10 bill for not wearing your seatbelt. Every time you didn't wear your seatbelt, the Democratic Party gave you $10. Would you wear your seatbelt every day going to the supermarket if it's only 5 minutes away? That's Twitter. Twitter is getting money for not wearing your seatbelt if you're the Democratic Party. If you had high cholesterol, but you got a $50 bill every time you ate an amazing, cheeseburger with, oh my God, that sounds good. A cheeseburger with onion rings and a bacon cheeseburger with onion rings. And you had high cholesterol. A bacon cheeseburger with onion rings and a chocolate shake. Carolina cries to low, yes. His body looks like Rocky. But if you got a $50 bill every time you ate and enjoyed a bacon cheeseburger with onion rings and a chocolate shake, and Democrats gave you a $50 bill every single time, you would not care so much about the doctors. You would not care about your high cholesterol. You'd be like, look, you know what? I'm getting $50. I'm getting $50. I gotta eat this every day. Twitter incentivizes the worst ideas or legitimizes the worst ideas or publicizes the worst ideas, the worst, just nonstop complaining and signaling and condemning and judgment. And I've never seen a world. This used to be frowned upon in American society. This type of like judgment, condemnation used to be frowned upon. Now it's promoted. Now if you don't judge and condemn on Twitter, and you could say like you could be Stephen King on Twitter and be like, Trump is bad and Trump is horrible, Trump is the worst. All you would have to say is, oh my God, please Trump lose in 2020, and you'll get retweeted a million times. If you are if you're a famous person, you'll get retweeted a million times. And it's like you've opened the floodgates for contempt, and everyone, it's like they just, there's no thought process to Twitter. And in Facebook, there's no thought process to social media. It's quick, emotional, almost always quick, emotional, and meaningless statements that are just predicated upon one viewpoint, or they're predicated upon, like, a specific political viewpoint where truth is not the goal in any discussion. The truth is not the goal in any discussion on social media. Because then you say, what? That person said this to me? That person said that to me? So then it turns into a kind of back and forth where pride gets involved and ego gets involved. Because you wouldn't speak to somebody, generally, you wouldn't speak to somebody if that person were in front of you in the same way you speak to them on social media. You wouldn't have a very good life if you did. So you wouldn't threaten people. You wouldn't demean and judge and condemn people. Stephanie Parker, who gave permission to that group Lincoln Project to use that name, sacrilege. Yes, Stephanie Parker, I agree with you. Thank you, Stephanie. Well, that group, and even look, Facebook had to pull one of their videos, their hardcore propaganda videos. Facebook had to pull, and they were like, "Oh my God, what? Why would you pull the video? Oh my God, I can't believe it. You pulled the video. Oh no." It's hard to kind of see this is the biggest, if a sporting analogy, this is the biggest Super Bowl. You can go ahead, ladies and gentlemen. Every Super Bowl, every World Series, every NBA championship, Game 7 that's ever taken place, you can wrap that into just one night, and it'll be November 3rd, 2020. And Democrats, when they lose, the meltdown. On H.A. Goodman's other channel, I'm just going to go read tweets. I won't list names, but I will read the tweets of the meltdown. I will have live streams on this channel. I'll have live streams on H.A. Goodman's other channel. Bizarro World Goodman will do segments because he'll be upset. You have not seen, ladies and gentlemen, you have not seen the contempt for Trump until you witness it on November 3rd when Trump wins again. And very few of the left have to look into the mirror and say, gee, maybe it's our fault. Maybe it's not so... See, Trump actually stands for something that most Americans want. Most Americans want an end to military interventions. That's a big reason why President Trump is popular, and nobody sees it. Nobody understands. Stephanie, thank you again. Thank you, Stephanie. Nobody sees it. Nachos live stream! Nachos live stream! Hello. I hope all is well. Nachos live stream. Valerie Rogers. Great hat, rolled tide. This is a Los Angeles Angels hat, but Roll Tide. Or fight on Trojans. Because I'm a USC fan. Valerie Rogers, thank you. Yeah, it's the Los Angeles Angels. But ladies and gentlemen, this election, I mean, they're not going to look. They're not rolling with Biden. That is absurd. That's absurd. They're not going to roll with Biden. Okay? They ain't rolling with Biden because everything that you see, I see. Everything that you see, I see. Nachos live stream. I'm looking at your one of your live streams. It's a great setup. Great setup. Better setup than what I have. It's awesome. Love the hat. You got Speakeasy News. Nice. Got the Trump pants. I love it. Nachos live stream. Best of luck. Keep it up. Keep it up. Everyone, ladies and gentlemen, subscribe to Nachos live stream. Subscribe to Nachos live stream. I'll give you the channel here right now. Speakeasy News. I'll give you the channel here right now. You know what? Check it out, everyone. He has a great setup. I haven't listened to any of the segments, but I can look at it, and looks great. Continue, Nachos live stream. Two Dog Mike D. I unsubbed when you first started talking about Hillary 2020. I wouldn't stop with the nonsense. Many months later, I came crawling back and resubbed. Take my money. Yeah, Two Dog Mike D. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Greatly appreciated, and thank you for the kind words. That means a lot to me, and I do appreciate the kind words. Thank you. Two Dog Mike D. One of the great names, by the way, in this channel's history. That's a great name. That's a great name. Two Dog Mike D. Thank you, Two Dog Mike D. Thank you very, very much. That's a great sentiment, and I appreciate the sentiment very much. Thank you, Two Dog Mike D. Thank you. It's happening, ladies and gentlemen. It's slowly happening. And I know what they're going to do, too. Two Dog Mike D and everybody. I know what they're going to do. They're going to make it so slow that I can't even take my victory lap will be like a bunch of small little sprints. It won't be, I was like, can you just give me one victory lap? Just one victory lap. Two Dog Mike D. Thank you. Two Dogs Mike D. I forgot the yes. Thank you. Tron Nort! Love from Canada. HA, do you think Trump's re-election could be a real physical conflict? Is it possible? Tron Nort, God bless you. Thank you for always watching. No, not possible, Tron. Tron Nort, not possible. First of all, the people on the left, the people on the left want to do away with the Second Amendment. So the tough talk doesn't correlate to, not everybody on the left, but 98%. 98% of the people on the left want to do away with the Second Amendment. So it wouldn't be a good idea to do anything like that. Also, you have to understand, Tron and everyone here, the vitriol is primarily, okay, the people who really don't like Trump voted for Hillary Clinton because they've always voted Democrat their whole lives. It's not necessarily the 65 million that Madam Secretary got. She got 65 million votes. Trump got 63 million. But Tron, the 65 million, I don't believe they're going to, whether they have 65 million or 63 million, or Trump has more than 63 million this year, the popular vote is a function of money spent. They might not outspend Trump 2-1, but they're very likely going to outspend President Trump. If they don't, they won't get the popular vote. So if they don't outspend President Trump, they ain't getting the popular vote. So, that's so in terms of, like, when people say, "Oh my God, it's the end of our democracy," that's another lie. They are trying to redefine American democracy in the image of the Democratic Party. It could be the end of the Democratic Party, but the Democratic Party is not even democratic. It's not even an example of democratic values. They literally cheat all the time. So Tron Nort, November is going to be a time to look in the mirror. November is going to be the MC Breed election. Ain't no future in your frontin'. CG3SSF. MC Breed. It's the MC Breed election, everyone. I say CG3SSF because he always says, alongside with me, MC Breed. Ain't no future in your frontin'. There ain't no future in your frontin'. There ain't no future in your frontin'. And that's the thing. The Democrats, the only future they have is frontin'. It's the only future they have. All they do, ladies and gentlemen, is just spread rumors. It is a rumor that Trump knew. It is a rumor that Trump worked with Russia. It is a rumor that Trump shared classified intelligence with somebody. Trump gave it is a rumor. Whenever intelligence officials say something, look at their track record. When have they been right about anything? Even Pearl Harbor was an intelligence failure. The Navy got information. Well, I should say there was intelligence that stated that Pearl Harbor could have that was about to take place. Okay. We can go on to the Bay of Pigs. We can go on to the Gulf of Tonkin. We can go on to George W. Bush and his failed foreign policy. We can go on to Bush's WMD. We can go on to Facebook ads. They didn't even predict the fall of the Berlin Wall. So tell me why we should believe. Why should we believe? It's believe. Always believe. Believe. Always. But it's never... It's never, hey, give me some facts. When it's Clinton, all you heard, correlation does not equal causation. You can't prove anything. That's their motto in life. You can't prove anything. Well, millions from Uranium One went into the Clinton Foundation. What's the altruism, philanthropy? You can't prove anything. Can't prove it. Something happened in the far reaches of the galaxy. Trump. It's Trump's fault. Okay. That's why I'm not on Twitter. Oh my God. In addition to the death threat that I had, I'm not on Twitter or Facebook. My life is so much better. My life is so much better that Twitter and Facebook are the biggest wastes of time. The absolute biggest wastes of time in human history. The absolute biggest wastes of time. It is the biggest waste of time, and it will be one of the reasons It will be one of the reasons, ladies and gentlemen. It will be one of the reasons that Democrats become this gigantic dumpster fire scene from outer space. You cannot continually amplify and publicize and spread the worst ideas. See, Democrats, President Trump, his movement is actually a movement of ideas. You can disagree with the ideas, but Trump has ideas. Democrats do not. You want to know what was in Politico today, ladies and gentlemen? You want to know what was in Politico? Progressives thought they had taken over Democratic Party. Now they're in despair. Oh my God. And now they've given up on Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders, ladies and gentlemen, was an actor, just like Biden, just like de Blasio. Do you think Eric Swalwell was going to be president? Did you really think Amy Klobuchar, right before Super Tuesday, wouldn't want to win Minnesota? All of this was for Hillary Clinton. And I called this in 2017, ladies and gentlemen. I called this in 2017. Progressives thought they'd overtaken the Democratic Party. Now they're in despair. So, let me just go ahead and change the... Why not go with Little Lakers? Okay. It's more comfy. All right. A string of losses highlighted by Bernie Sanders has left the movement reeling. The movement is reeling because thank God I left. The reason that Bernie's movement lost is because they never listened to me, or they didn't have my philosophy, which was, it doesn't matter if Republicans say something about Clinton or Republicans harp on an issue. If that issue is valid, then you too should bring it up. For example, Clinton had servers with top secret intel. Bernie could have said, I just want to wonder, Madam Secretary, how did you transfer top secret and special access program intelligence for 4 years? Okay. I don't care if Fox News says it. I don't care. I don't care if Newt Gingrich says it. I don't care. I'm going to point. Yeah, I'm going to point. You don't like it? I'm with her? Huh? What's the difference? You're going to cheat me anyway. Huh? I'm pointing at you. I'm pointing at you. And you. And you. Yeah, you like that? Keep screeching and howling. I'm going to point at you all day. I just was wondering why you utilized servers and then deleted 30,000 emails. Huh? Why? And he would have, he might not have won, okay? He might not have won. Or he could have perhaps gotten a lot closer. But he would have showed them, that, he would have showed them, my love. He would have showed them that he's no one to be messed with. He would have showed them that, Larry, thank you. He would have showed them that he's no one to be messed with. But instead, he got trampled and stomped on, and everyone on the left retweeted, I just want health care. I just want health. They don't. That's not the way to do it. That's not the way to do it. Oh, yeah? I'm in, Medicare for all, man. I'm in. Come on. That's not the way to do it. That's not the way to do it. The corporate Dems are doing this, and the corporate Dems are doing that. That's not the way to do it. You know what you should have done? You should have brought up our email servers. Yeah. Oh, that's not even an issue, man. Yeah, that's why you got stopped on. That's why you get cheated all the time. That's why Politico is capping on Bernie's movement, which is a gigantic bowel movement. Just ask Elizabeth Warren. Why do you think Elizabeth Warren was there? Trump was right about that. You know who? You know the only person to stick up for Bernie supporters? Trump and Jared Beck, Elizabeth Beck, and Nico House. 4 people, 1 president. Every day on Twitter, Medicare for all, man. Oh yeah? Well, Democrats are doing this. Well, they don't care if you don't like them. They care if you don't vote for them, and they care if you bring up legitimate scandals and controversies and cover-ups and hoaxes. Then you get people on the left. You have a lot of good journalists who bring up the Russia hoax, but they don't say it was done to hurt Trump. That's another problem. They don't say it was done to hurt Trump, to sabotage Trump, to undermine Trump. They don't do that because we can't get too close to Trump. Then you have the most counterproductive, absurd, you need to disavow this person, you need to disavow that person, disavow this. You're on Twitter. You're on Twitter. You're on social media. You cannot demand people disavow anything. They have a difference of opinion from you. Well, if you don't disavow, then you are worse than the worst person who's ever lived. No, you are worse than the worst person who's ever lived. No, you are. Oopsie, you lost 2020 again. Sorry. Thanks for playing. You lost again. Ladies and gentlemen, the strategy, you don't have, there need not be a denial of anything. But the only way to change a political party is to force it to change. For example, if they actually do cheat, if they actually do commit crimes, then to actually not just call them out. If Republicans are pointing out legitimate crimes or scandals or controversies, which the email server was legitimate because we had even Comey saying, you know what, at the end of the day, we couldn't find anything. Yeah, right. But he did investigate and he found top secret and special access program intelligence. Bernie Sanders could have said, oh, well, how did it get there? And then Clinton would have had to lie again. But it would have shown that he just didn't play ball all the time. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much. I'm going to be back in about an hour. People. So be here in about 1 hour, about 12:30 p.m. Pacific. Ladies and gentlemen, God bless. To my super chat, thank you. I'll be back at around 12:30 a.m. Pacific. Sorry. So in about an hour. If you're up, ladies and gentlemen, be here. Be here in about 1 hour, people. If you're up, be here in about 1 hour, okay? This was fun. Thank you so very much. I'll see you in about 1 hour, everybody. God bless. To my super chat, thank you again. Again, be here on this channel, 12:30 a.m. Pacific. I'll be here in about 1 hour. Again, we'll do this all over again. Thanks, everybody.